computer. Okay, welcome to Tanya Outside In, chapter Lamed Ches. Lamed Ches, Lamed Tes, and Mem are arguably the most difficult chapters in Tanya. They are complex, they are esoteric, um, they they're just it difficult. Okay, so let's just jump in. We're talking about Kavanas Mitzvah. And in Tanya, the kavana of the mitzvah means, anybody want to hazard a guess what we mean by kavanas a mitzvah in Tanya? What is the kavana of the mitzvah? So you'd think maybe the concentration, but in Tanya, kavanas a mitzvah, we understand it, is referring to what motivates the mitzvah. Why are you doing the mitzvah? That's the kavanas a mitzvah. That's the Avin. It's not to do with your concentration during the mitzvah. It's to do with the reason you are doing the mitzvah. You could be doing the mitzvahs for lots of different reasons. You could be doing the mitzvahs for Olam Haba. You could be doing the mitzvahs stam for no just that's what you do. This is what you do. You could be doing the mitzvahs lishma. There's all kinds of levels of kavana, and that's what we're going to discuss. Okay, so look, hold tight because we're doing it inside. And I know that everyone who teaches Tanya, these three chapters, especially inside, I try and give when I teach the Sefer generally outside, and I teach all these chapters in one shot outside. And it's really a struggle inside, but let's do it. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, Perek Lamed Ches. In Kol Hanal, according to everything that we basically came to, the final conclusion of above is that Mitzvahs Maisius is where it's at. That's the final. We went through a whole bunch of different reasons why Torah has milers over Maisa Mitzvah, and then he finished off with a kind of sledgehammer that at the end of the day, the Maisa Mitzvah is really Ikka. And now he turns around and he's like, yeah, but you have to remember you've also got the Kavanas Mitzvah. Okay, so the question is really like what when you ask in Tanya, when you ask like what's more, what's bigger, X or Y, and the answer is yes. It depends what chapter you're in. It really depends what chapter you're in. Is this world Ikka or is the Ruchnius world Ikka? Depends what chapter you're in. Is Torah Ikka? Is Mitzvahs Ikka? Depends what chapter you're in. Are you a Nefesh of Bahamas? Are you a Nefesh of Akis? Depends what chapter you're in. Yeah, you have to be able to like duck and weave and etc. Okay. According to everything we said above. Yuvan Heidev Pasuk Halacha Psak Halacha Ha'arucha B'Talmud Poiskim. Yeah, the Psak Halacha that is all over the place. Dehir love Kadibadami. That thinking is not the same as speech. Vim Kora Kriyashma b'machshvasoi. And if he was Kora Kriyashma, if he said Kriyashma only in his mind, Ubeliboy, Levad, but called Koyach Kavanasoi, with all the energy, with all the kavana he could muster, and this isn't what we're talking about motivation. This is mean like concentration. Lo yotzidei chayvasoi. He wasn't yotzi. But tzarich lachzor likrois, and he needs to be choizer and to read again. B'chein b'berachas hamazon doiraisa u'b'sha'ah brachas d'rabanan u'b'tefillah im hoitzi b'svasov v'loi kiven liboy yotzidei chavasoi b'diavad. Vein tzarich lachzor. Levad me pasuk rishon shel kriyashma u'bracha rishona shel tefillah shmona esrei u'kedoyma. U'kedeisa b'perek beis b'brachas ad kan mitzvahs kavana mekam v'eilech mitzvahs kriya. Yeah, that if you just have the most basic kavana, yeah, so you don't you do the mitzvah. Yeah, if you do it just with the kavana, just without the actual ma'aser mitzvah, then you have to go back and do it again. Yeah, but if you just said the words, and you weren't miskaven your heart, bichlal, b'diavad yotzi. It works. So it comes out. What's more important, the Ma'aser Mitzvah or the Kavanas Mitzvah? If you have all the Kavanas in the world, but you don't have the Ma'aser Mitzvah, there's no Mitzvah. If you have just the Ma'aser Mitzvah, no Kavana, b'diavad there's a Mitzvah. B'diavad there's a Mitzvah. So obviously the first thing needs to be in place is the Ma'aser Mitzvah. Yeah. V'hainu. Mishum shanasham, and this is one of the most important lines in the Tanya. The hainu, that is why Mishum shanashama eina tzricha tikkun liatzma b'mitzvahs rak lahamshich or l'sakei nefesh hachiyunis v'haguf. Because the neshama does not need a tikkun unto itself. The neshama's fine. The neshama did not come here to get fixed. The neshama came here to elevate the nefesh of Bahamis, the nefesh of Chiyunis. Aire oisius adibo sha nefesh medaberes b'Hashem that how do you fix the nefesh of Bahamis? Through the oisius of the speech that he speaks from the 5 places of articulation from the mouth. And then all of the other mitzvahs that the nefesh does with the other limbs of the goof. And Gavriel, this is a bit of the reason why we're saying is that the idea of being male the Chabad of the nefesh of Bahamis is not so pashat that that's what the Torah does, because the Chabad of it really depends, but the Chabad of the when you're thinking in Torah, that usually is using the Chabad of the what's it called? The Chabad of the Nefesh Elokis. Maybe with the very kind of powerful thinking of the Talmud Bavli, that's being Makadosh the Chabad of the Nefesh of Bahamis. Maybe. That I don't know about. Amru. Even so, they said, Tefillah or Shah Bracha beloy Kavana Heim Kaguf beloy Neshama. Chazal told us that Tefillah or any other kind of bracha without Kavana is like a goof without a Neshama. Perush. Ki kamoy shekol habruyim shaboilim hazer. Just like in every creation in this world, Sheizlem goof and neshama. Everything has a goof and neshama. Everything, even a stone, has a goof and a neshama. Yeah, there's the kli, then there's the ore. Yeah, and that even a stone. Shehem nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basa ish v'nishmas kol asher ruach chaim ba'apov mikol balechayim v'Hashem chayes kulam. Yeah, that's all creatures, all living creatures, and he'll say later, not even just living creatures. They all have the inyan of a goof and a shama. And he causes them to be from nothing always. With the light and the life force. I don't know the difference here. Yesh mashpia behem, that he's mashpia into them. Shagam hagufa chumri, that even the physical body, vafilu avonim va'afa hadoimem mamash, and even stones, rocks and dirt, yeah, which is doimem mamash yesh boy or v'chias memenu yizbuach. They all have an or and a chias from Hashem Yisbarach. Shlo yachzor liyois ayim ve'efes k'shahaya, that they don't return back to being nothing like they were originally. V'afapichein ein erech v'dimyan klal bein bechinas or v'chias hamei beguf lagabe bechinas or v'chias hamei beneshama. You cannot compare the life force of the goof to the life force of the neshama. The goof has a life force. Yeah, we're not talking about the neshama in the goof. The actual goof itself, just like mud and rocks, has a goof and a neshama, so too your goof has a goof and a neshama. Not that there's your goof and there's your neshama, that's for sure. But we're saying that in the goof itself, the goof has a goof and a neshama. And surprise, surprise, the neshama has a goof and a neshama. So that's what he's talking about here, that you can't compare the light of the neshama to the light of the goof. The light of the neshama, excuse me, is incomparably more elevated. She nefesh kol chai va'af, and even shebeshteihem or echad shava b'chinas hester panim, and this is where it starts to get a little bit complicated. That even though in each one they have an or that is equal on the level of hester panim, v'levushim shavim she'or mistater mis'alem mislabesh boy. That we're talking about the nefesh achunis, yeah, that the actual the goof and the nefesh of the nefesh bahamis, they are, although the level of light is incomparably higher, the quality of the light is the same thing. Yeah, what does he mean? Because they both come from oilam hazeh. שבכללוסוי מסתתר בשווה האור והחייס שמרוח פיו יזבח בבחינס הסתר פנים וירידס המדרגס בשטרשס עולמס במדרגה בצמצום רבים עצומים עד שנסלבש בקליפס נויגה. That's the key word here. לחיות כללס עולם הזה החומרי, that gives life to all of this physical world, meaning that in the goof, yeah, and the nefesh of the goof, or even it gets complicated. I'm not sure which beginner is talking on, but either way, it doesn't really matter because it's a micro macro. The light, the divine energy that causes the goof to be is not comparable to the level of the divine energy that causes the nefesh to be. They both need different levels, but different, not different qualities, different intensities. So there's much more light in the soul than there is in the goof. More light. But both those lights are filtered through Klipas Noiga, which means even though the light is brighter in the Nefesh than it is in the goof, they are both of the same quality of light. They both come from Noiga. So remember, we've got the idea of Tzimtzum and Hester Panim. Yeah? Tzimtzum is to do with the constriction of the amount of light. Hester Panim is to do with a diminishing of the quality of the light. It's the difference between closing a window, like window shutters, yeah, and putting a veil, a curtain, like a translucent curtain over the window. One of them, the shutters, closes down the amount of light, and the other one, the veil, stops down the quality of the light. So when we're talking about the body, yeah, and the Nefesh Bahamis, there's much more light in the Nefesh Bahamis than there is in the body, the physical body. Just like there's more light in the soul than there is in a rock. The rock and the body are the same on this level, yeah? There's a level of light that a rock needs. There's a level of light that the physicality of your body needs. And then there's a level of light that your neshama needs. That's a whole, or the nefesh needs. It's a whole different level. So the rock and the body, I mean, what is the body without a soul? It's just a rock. It's just carbon. It's just a bunch of meat. Yeah, it's a doimem. That's what a mace is. It's doimem. So now the amount of light, whether we're talking about a rock or the physicality of your body, the flesh of your body, that's the same. But the amount of light in the nefesh, that's much more. But what is the same in all of them is the quality of the light. And this is going to help us understand if we got that clear, the rest of the chapters will be make a little bit more sense. That gives life to all of this physical world. The Hainu, that means to say, Kol Devarim Mutarim V'Tahorim Sheboilim Hazeh. Everything that is permissible and tahor in this world, not talking about things that are forbidden. Yeah. And from it, and don't forget that from the permissible comes the forbidden. Remember that the klipas tameus, the totally impure klipa, receives its energy from kedusha derech klipas noiga. You can't klipas tameus can't take energy directly from kedusha. Although the only energy in the world is kedusha. Yeah, there is no other energy. There's only godly energy. Yeah, but we see there's unholy things in the world, like chazir. Yeah, chazirim have energy. Yeah, and people who are oivdei avodah zarah are still alive. So that couldn't happen. Chazir could not plug itself directly into kedusha. The only way that a chazir can be is if it attaches itself to klipas noiga. And by way of the klipas noiga, it receives kedusha, and therefore it's alive. So we're not talking about the forbidden things. We're talking about the permissible things. But remember that all the forbidden things are hanging off the permissible things. The bechinas memutzois canal. The klipas noiga is the memutza. It's the go between klipas tameus and kedusha. That, by the way, explains why Yisrael are so primary and the Umois Oilam are secondary. Because Yisrael is bechinas noiga, Umois Oilam are bechinas klipas tameus. So the reason why the Umois Oilam have koyach is because of our averos. That their energy, the more powerful they are, is to do with the energy that they siphon through us from kedusha. So when we're not behaving ourselves, that's why it's a seesaw with Esav and Yaakov. When Esav is up, Yaakov's down. When Yaakov is up, Esav is down. Why? Because when Yaakov is up, that means that the kedusha is elevating klipas noiga. That's what it means, that Yisrael are up. They're behaving correctly and they're lifting up this world. Masha'en Kain, when Yisrael are down, that means that we're not behaving ourselves correctly. That means that energy, the kedusha that is intrinsic to Yisrael, that's essential to Yisrael, is spilling out and being taken by the Umois Oilam, and that accounts for this seesaw effect. When we're up, they're down. When they're up, we're down. Yeah. But afapichen ha'ara shemshachas achias asher Hashem meir. I explain this, that the level, the actual quantity of the light is different. You've got more light in the nefesh than you have in the goof, but they're both equally concealed. The nefesh, although there's more light, it doesn't allude to God any more than the goof. Seeing a spiritual being does not allow you to think that it doesn't it's not closer to God than a physical being. Remember, God isn't physical, he isn't spiritual. God's God. He's not a creation. Spirituality is also a creation. So now that's what Hester Panim is. That's what Klipas Noige is. See, Klipas Noige conceals the light. That's why it's called Hester Panim. The Panim is where you recognize someone from. You recognize someone from their face, not from the back, from the front. Yeah. So now you can have a little bit of light coming through a window, even though it's a teeny shard of light. If there's no filter, you know that it's sunlight as opposed to fluorescent light or some other kind of light. You know that it's sunlight. The minute we put a filter over that light, we don't know that it's sunlight anymore. It could be any kind of light. That's exactly the point here. That even though there's a lot of light in the nefesh compared to the body, it's concealed by a filter that means that it doesn't allude to God any more than the body. So whether you see a spiritual created being or we're not talking about a malach, we're talking about a nefesh, we're talking about an egoic nefesh. Remember, the way of understanding a nefesh is like the nefesh to the blood is like electricity to the battery acid. That's the most amazing moshel that we have. That just like electricity, which is spiritual, so to speak, meaning it doesn't have any physicality to it. It lives in the meats, the juice within the battery. So too, the nefesh Bahamis lives within the blood. It's connected to the blood somehow. And just like that, when the battery runs out, you end up with the juice of the battery without any nefesh in it. When a human being dies, the nefesh leaves the blood, so to speak, and the blood becomes just the doimem again. It's like a spent battery, like a battery that ran out of koyach. However, we kind of explained this already, that even though they're of the same quality, they're not of the same quantity. Because in the physical goof and in the physical things of this world, the inanimate stuff, like rocks and dirt, it's the light is in the most ultimate level of constriction. That there's no greater constriction. That it's so constricted that it doesn't even have the energy to grow. But the next level is a little bit of growth. That's already the world of Someach. So it's a very nice way to understand it. We've got the four madregas. We've got Doimem, Someach, Chai, Medaber. Doimem is the lowest level of light. Now, when you add a little bit more light to a doimem, it ends up with the ability to grow. It's a little bit more godly. Therefore it grows. That's called someach. Add a little bit more light to that, becomes a little bit more godly in a sense, depending on how you're speaking. And then it now has movement. That's called an animal. Add more light to that, you end up with a seichel, with intelligence. That's called a human being. So that's the difference between a rock, a plant, an animal, and a human, is the amount of light. By a rock, there's very, very little light. By the plant, there's a bit more light. By an animal, there's even more light. And by the human being, there's even more light. However, none of them allude to the creator any more than each of the others. That's because even though they go up in levels in quantity of light, The quality of the light stays the same. That's called Klippas Noga. Klippas Noga is the filter through which it all goes through. Okay, let's hold it. That was good. That was good. I'm so tired. Square. Okay, to be continued. And see you soon. Bye, Michael. Bye, Alvin.
Sure, Shmuel. It got better, but the microphone in the beginning had a little like garble to it. Not so much when you were speaking, almost when you were not speaking. It would like pick up some sound. So it kind of stopped the second half, but